we're only finding out about the extent of this major hole now. Was it actuarial assumptions, Rick, or was it willful negligence and maybe even criminal behavior?
Well, the SEC now is looking into the circumstances that led to this this situation. Last week, GE disclosed that they were going to take a $6.2 billion charge, but also put $15 billion into reserves for losses on this insurance portfolio. And it's something that really has been a long time in the making. They've been in this business, or rather, they got into this business in the late 80s and 90s, and then they actually got out of it completely more than a decade ago. They spun out Genworth, and then by 2006, they were out of this business, but they had to hang on to this portfolio because it was just full of
it was rotten.
Exactly. It was, and the problem was not so much the policies as this whole market. Long-term care insurance is really, really tough, and every insurer that was big in that market in the late 90s, early 2000s has had some issues with those kinds of portfolios, and so it was known that this was going to be an issue, but it's really a surprise, the magnitude of the charge that GE's been taking.
Why didn't anybody get ahead of these liabilities?
What's that?
Why didn't anybody get ahead of these liabilities? They saw that this was wrong.
Yeah, and actually that has been happening. You see, Genworth over the years, that was spun out, and that had a lot of long-term care liabilities, and they had been taking additional charges to add to reserves and reevaluating their assumptions. And it's something that GE does at least an annual review of this portfolio, but there's not a lot of evidence that there's been really many fundamental changes in how they viewed it for a long time, and it's only been in this review that was undertaken in the past year that they finally acknowledged the extent of the issues.
He's gone now, so I guess it's to a certain extent just a matter of curiosity. But how much did Jeff Immelt know about this?
That is probably one of the things that investigators are going to look into. It wasn't just Jeff Immelt, but he was the CEO. So yes, in some sense, the buck stops with him. But there were a lot of eyes on this. I mean, there were regulators, there were audit committees, there was the board, and so in that way, it's actually really surprising that this could have gone seemingly unnoticed for so long.
So what's GE saying now? Who or what are they blaming this on?
The market, largely. These are liabilities that were going to become an issue, and there were certain triggers, they say, over the past year or so in terms of the policyholders making claims, and that then led them to reevaluate their assumptions. And so, if you talk to them, it's something that was going to happen, and they evaluated it regularly, and it's only now that it's becoming clear.